$50 million a year for rural care. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Compassion sponsorship means food, healthcare, education, and more for a child in poverty. And there are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Text the word radio to 83393.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Venus Williams, at age 45, became the second oldest woman to win a tour-level singles match. The Compton native defeated Peyton Stearns in straight sets Tuesday, 6-3 and 6-4 in the first round of the D.C. Open in Washington, D.C. It was the first singles win for Venus since the Cincinnati Open in August of 2023. Tuesday's match was also the first time Venus had been on the court since the Miami Open on March 19, 2024. Martina Navratilova holds the record as the oldest woman to win a tour-level singles match. Navratilova was 47 when she won a match at Wimbledon in 2004. Venus showed she still has some game. One of her serves was clocked at 112 miles per hour. Venus, a seven-time Grand Slam champion, was given a wildcard exemption to play in the D.C. Open. She advances to the second round on Thursday against the number 5 seed in the tournament, Magdalena Frech of Poland. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah. At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
My friends feel it's their appointed duty. They keep trying to tell me all you want to do is use me. But my answer ain't all that use me stuff. I want to spread the news that if it feels it's good getting used, oh, you just keep on using me till you use me up.
Bill Withers sounding as good as ever on Tavis, Smiley.
Until you use me up.
We are in our second hour, pushing toward our third hour with Lunel. We've got our laugh on in our third hour. I said earlier that it's been a rough week, a rough week. That unexpected and shocking death of Malcolm Jamal Warner, not to mention any number of other issues, has made it a tough week. I must add, though, that I didn't mention this in the first hour. We talked about this on Monday when Sean Hannity was our guest in the first hour, sort of debated this. That officer, former police officer in Louisville, Hankerson, who was facing life in prison, was being sentenced this week. The Justice Department jumped in and asked for him to receive 1 day in prison. Thankfully, as you probably saw by now, the judge didn't go for that nonsense, and he was given 33 months, as I recall. So that 1 day sentence did not come to fruition as the Trump DOJ, Department of Justice, had asked for, but he did in fact receive 33 months. I didn't mention that earlier. I wanted to. So I'm delighted with that. At least there's some good news this week that suggests that Black lives do matter at some level, at least. But it's been a rough week, so we'll get our laugh on with Lunell, who comes in studio in hour 3. But in this hour, as promised, a conversation with best-selling author Mychal Denzel Smith about his new piece for The Intercept about the black vote in the hotly contested New York City mayoral race, and the takeaways might surprise you. Mychal, good to have you on. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right, Tavis. How are you?
Man, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I'm doing well, all things considered, and I'm delighted to be in conversation with you. Let me offer this as a way to frame this conversation, because I want to just make it. We talk about New York, but there's something much larger here. I think the frame is bigger, and I think you and I can delve into it throughout this hour. But I was thinking last night, Mychal, in preparation for our conversation about this piece that you wrote for The Intercept about the black vote in New York, specifically Zoran Mondani, who struggled with Andrew Cuomo to win black voters in that primary, the Democratic primary. I thought about Bernie Sanders. Cornel West was on this program on Monday. He's a regular contributor to this program now on Mondays and Thursdays, so he'll be on tomorrow, by the way, at the top of our second hour. But he and I were talking about this briefly the other day. You'll recall, I raised Cornel West's name because he was, Bernie Sanders' most popular African-American surrogate. He traveled the country with Bernie. The first time Bernie ran, endorsed Bernie, and everywhere Bernie went, Cornel went with him, Dr. West went with him, helping him get his message, his progressive message across. And even with Cornel West on the hustings with Bernie Sanders, it did not translate anywhere into any significant black vote for Bernie Sanders. And so Dr. West said on Monday on this program that it was the first time that the most progressive base in the Democratic Party did not vote for the most progressive candidate on the ballot. Black people did not line up behind this really progressive guy named Bernie Sanders. Bernie had deep trouble tapping into the black vote. It appears that Mondani, for all the talk about how great he was and this amazing feat that he pulled off in New York City, he did not do it with black support. Now, again, there's an issue here that we can unpack in this hour, but if black people are as progressive as we say we are, why are some of these progressive candidates not being able to make hay with black people? Again, Bernie Sanders and Zoran Mondani are exhibit A and B. I digress for now. Start as you will with what I've said, and we'll jump from there, Mychal.
Well, I think, I've grown up on you, Tavis. I'll say I'm 38. And so, the conversations that you've hosted over many years now have informed my politics. And I think, looking back on all of that and the work that you've done, Dr. Cornel West has done, and we look at unpacking this idea of black voters, black people as a monolith, right? That, there are disparate factions within black community and black communities that have different interests, different ideologies, different perspectives that are coming to the table. And what we get sort of lumped in this idea of a singular black vote that can be won, and that then, because of the ways in which U.S. politics is worked out with a two-party system, you have a choice. You have the one party that has come to represent just full out racist, right? That's just what it is.
Sure.
And then a party that does not represent full out racist. And so there are your choices. And so that lends itself to the idea that essentially black folks are by and large more progressive. But if you unpack all of the different factors within there, it's not to say that black folks are not progressive. There's, just like the rest of the electorate, there are more progressive wings, more radical wings, more conservative, more centrist, and what have you. So it's saying that folks like Bernie Sanders and Zoran Mondani have struggled, not because they're missing a messaging to a progressive base or a progressive electorate. It's that electorate is more complex than what we have come to recognize.
No, I hear that's a powerful point. I hear that complexity. But let me just follow. I'm gonna leave my clock here. Let me do this. When we come forward, I want to pick up on this notion of why that messaging isn't working, though. Again, if you listen to Bernie's message, every black person should have lined up behind Bernie. If you listen just to his message. If you listen to Zoran Mondami's message, everybody black in New York should have voted for Mondami. If you listen just to his message, for some reason that messaging isn't landing in the way that they hoped it would with black voters. We'll come to that messaging piece in just a second, and Mychal makes a powerful point that black voters have never been a monolith, but we are certainly not the monolith that they thought we were some years ago. Hence, more black people voting for Donald Trump every time he ran. You couldn't have imagined that 30, 40, 50 years ago. So black people are still the most loyal base in the Democratic Party, but Mychal puts his finger on it quite nicely, that when you get inside the black vote, there are degrees and gradations and levels and layers, just like there is in every other community. Going to be a lot to unpack in this hour. I'm looking forward to it with Mychal Denzel Smith on Tavis Smiley.
From California to the Carolinas, everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
All I need is one mic.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Recently, I listened to a Tavis Smiley show conversation with James Farr. At one point, James said something that caught me off guard. Not because it wasn't true, but because it is. Black Altadena is gone. I know it may seem stupid and non-productive, but I stopped in that moment listening to Tavis and James. I broke down and cried. In the back of my mind, I told myself we can bring it back like it was. But James Farr's reality check hit me like a ton of bricks. My community is being murdered. I said murdered, not by the Altadena Eaton Canyon fire, but by the people we elect to protect us, and by greedy and gatekeeping nonprofits who cannot see the forest for the trees. For the first time since the fire, I truly feel and understand my wife's inconsolable pain. Because I'm struggling to find a path to recovery and at least some form of normalcy. My community is crumbling right in front of my face. Lack of funding to rebuild is slowly destroying us. Many of us can no longer hold out, and developers are gobbling up our property. When I hear voices like Tavis Smiley and James Farr speak truth to power on KBLA Talk 1580, it reminds me that we're not crazy, just unheard. Make no mistake here, KBLA delegation, this is war, and we the people of Black Altadena are losing. It's like waiting for reparation. Not gonna happen, brother. In this new orange man world, no one, no entity is persuaded by right or wrong. There is no consequence for doing the wrong thing, and no accolades or support for doing the right thing. Will war-torn Black Altadena survive? Your guess is as good as mine. But what have I got to lose? I'm in my 70s and don't have time to wait. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once suggested that riots break out when people have no hope. But there's nothing left to burn down in Altadena. I wish I could say I remain hopeful that my beloved community will rise again like a phoenix from the ashes. I wish I could. With a KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Pasadena Community Coalition at gmail.com. Reach out to me. As always, we welcome your feedback.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Mychal Denzel Smith. Has a provocative and powerful piece in for the Intercept that he wrote about Zoran Mondami and the black vote in the New York City mayoral race. We were talking, in case you've just tuned in, earlier about how it is and why it is that oftentimes this progressive message is not landing inside of Black America in particular the way that candidates think it should or hope that it would. I think of, again, Bernie Sanders. even with Cornel West by his side, crisscrossing the country, and other black people who got behind him, he was not able to really tap into the black vote. And the data suggests now that Zoran Mondami wasn't able to do that in New York City either. Now, of course, he was running against Andrew Cuomo at the time, who was a known entity, a known quantity inside of black America. Andrew Cuomo, part of the Democratic Party establishment, and all the establishment lined up behind him. Bill Clinton on down, James Clyburn, etc. The establishment lined up behind Andrew Cuomo, David Paterson, former governor of New York. And so that's one of the reasons, I suspect, why he didn't tap into the black vote as he might were he not in a Democratic primary against an establishment candidate like Andrew Cuomo. But still, when you think about, again, Mondami's message and Bernie Sanders' message, something about that message, progressive though it may be, has not been landing inside of black America. Any particular thoughts on that, Mychal, before I jump straight way into the Zoran Mondami campaign?
Yeah, I think it's not so much the messaging doesn't land, I don't think. I think that there are a few factors at play here that have to do with a sort of pragmatism on behalf of black voters, right? So, and this is not a perfect one-to-one comparison necessarily, but it is reminiscent of what was happening in 2008. And I'm not suggesting that Barack Obama is in any way like the progressive candidate that Bernie Sanders or Zoran Mamdani are, that they are like perfectly aligned with their socialist values, and Barack Obama is someone who is not. But you know, black establishment leaders and everyone lining up behind Hillary Clinton instead of Barack Obama. Why? Relationships. These are long-standing relationships within the Democratic Party, with the Democratic Party to black civic leaders and political leaders that Barack Obama had not established that. And it is sort of the similar thing played out here with Zoran Mamdani versus Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo, a legacy of political dynasty, as it were, that Mamdani would often say. You know, long-standing relationships with those black civic leaders, those black business leaders, what have you, and that simply translating into that transactional politics. I know you, you know me, we have worked together, and therefore I will still stand behind you. So it's not that they necessarily line up with what Cuomo represents politically, but understand that he is someone in power, and if they want to have the ear of someone in power, that would be Andrew Cuomo. But that also sort of speaks to this sense of not always voting the values as they necessarily are expressed. It is to say, what is the best path forward? Who has the most likely chance of winning? We've made these calculations over and over again. It's saying oh, you're not going to be able to win with this kind of messaging more broadly. You're not going to be able to pick up working class white people. You're not going to be able to pick up the business community, the real estate community. So why would I throw my vote behind something that has little hope of succeeding if it feels like a waste? So there's those considerations to make. So I don't think that it's necessarily that the messaging hasn't landed. It's just that there's more at work within the politics and the transactional politics and relationships that prevent that vote from shifting.
I received that. Another question or two before I go straight way into your piece about Zoran Mamdani and what happened in this primary with regard to the black vote. You raised this earlier, and I find it fascinating. I've had any number of conversations over the course of my career, as you can imagine. I was tickled earlier when you said I'm 38 and I was raised on you. That's kind. You made me feel old, but I appreciate it. I'd rather being chronologically gifted beats the alternative, and so I'm always
indeed.
I'm always tickled when people come on these days, and I said, "Man, we were raised on you, Tavis." Okay, I get that. So let me go to this point you made about black voters being a monolith. I mean, I've been around long enough now to have heard this comment, and frankly have said this more times than I can count myself, that black voters are not a monolith. Okay, no, we're not really a monolith, but we kind of are. And when I say we kind of are, what I mean by that is that we're the most loyal base of the Democratic Party. So for years on end, we really have been more monolithic than we have not been monolithic, given our support of the Democratic Party. But we are now in a new era. And I've been looking for and waiting for and hoping for somebody to write a piece about this. Hint, hint, Michael. Write a piece about this, about the coming fragmentation, the fragmenting of the African American vote. Now, again, we're still at this point where black people, by and large, support Democratic Party candidates. I get that. But I am starting to sense that the black vote, little by little, is breaking up, that it's starting to fragment. And I don't think that's just about Donald Trump, even though, as I said earlier, regrettably, more black people, regrettably for me at least, more black people have voted for Donald Trump every single time he ran. But I'm hearing more musings. I'm hearing more antipathy. I'm hearing more angst as the years pass by on the part of African American voters who are tired of being taken for granted by one party, ignored by another party. My sense is that in the months and years to come, we're going to see an even greater fragmentation when it comes to the African American vote. That's just my thought. Comment as you will.
Oh, certainly. I think that, in researching and doing this piece for the Intercept, I read Perry Bacon Jr. at the Washington Post talking about this very thing, where yes, the part of what's happening is that it's a discussion of older versus younger voters, right? Older versus younger black voters, and part of what is happening is that, depressingly, younger black voters are turning to the Republican Party a little bit more. But within the vote that remains Democratic, they're also more critical of those who are more center left or centrist, right? Like they're disaffected and disappointed in the Joe Biden presidency, not lining up behind a Kamala Harris candidacy, right? What we've seen over the past decade and a half or so of black political movement, particularly among younger people, is that there's a shift to the left, right? The shift to more progressive views, a shift to more progressive politics. And so I think even you can read the shift among younger black voters toward Republicans, not necessarily as like lining up behind Donald Trump, but a disaffection with the Democratic Party, with their vote being taken for granted. And that's my hope, at least, is that it's not a reflection of the actual politics there. But yes, that fragmentation that's happening across generational lines, happening across ideological lines, happening across just lines that have to do with that pragmatism that I was speaking across earlier, that there's dissatisfaction with that line of thinking, that no, we're not going to simply line up behind someone because they have the best chance, as it were, of winning. We want people who actually reflect our political views, reflect the idea of our material interest in the world. And so, yes, you see that reflected again in the mayoral campaign, the Democratic primary, where, yes, Zohran Mamdani struggled broadly with the black vote, as it were, but younger black voters did vote more heavily for Mamdani than they did Cuomo.
And what does that tell us? What does that say to you, Michael?
I think it one speaks to that fragmentation, but I think also within this sort of just narrow confines of thinking about the mayoral race, as we think about what's ahead. Cuomo is still in the race as an independent. The incumbent mayor, Eric Adams, is running as an independent. They are competing for that older black vote. Mamdani's challenge will be not to win over that vote, but to do what he did in the primary, which is turn out greater numbers of younger black voters, younger voters more generally, but younger black voters in particular, as that demographic shifts politically toward more of what Mamdani represents. So that's in the narrow sense of the mayoral race, but thinking more generally and more broadly what it means for the future of the Democratic Party, what it means for the future of American politics in the greater sense. It means that the black vote is not one that can be taken for granted anymore. It means that even when you are, a Joe Biden and then Kamala Harris candidacy that is running against a Donald Trump, if you are not reflecting the ideas that these young black voters hold dear, that they want to see implemented on a grand stage, they may not show up. And then that's a whole sticky situation for a lot of people. It's just like it's a civic duty to vote and everything. But there's also just that sense of, if I don't have reflected in the politics, not just someone that looks like me, but someone that represents policies that are going to have a direct impact on my life, on the life of my loved ones, and reflect a progressive vision of where the country needs to go, why would I show up for anyone?
That raises two questions in my mind. Let me do them one at a time, obviously. The first is what it is about Mondami's message that was, in fact, resonating with these young black voters in particular.
Well, when you think about what he ran on, I think it was great framing, right? So we have had, for as long as I've been paying attention to and involved with thinking about the American project and democracy and politics, conversations around inequality. But Mondami did not talk about inequality so much as he talked about affordability. And that's just a much more specific thing that's more relatable to people. And the idea of particularly young black folks who have come up in an age of a gentrifying New York, right, where they have been being priced out of the neighborhoods that their families have historically been part of, that built up. The idea that the rising rents and rising cost of living are forcing you to either move out or move to neighborhoods that you don't know, neighborhoods that are cheaper. The idea that, if you make the buses free, if there are city-run grocery stores that make groceries more affordable, all of these things that add up in the Mamdani campaign and the ideas that he set forth, that you can stay, that you can actually build a life here. That's very appealing, particularly to young black voters that have been experiencing a city that has become increasingly unaffordable for them.
Yeah, to Mondami specifically, there's a piece, I believe today, in the New York Times, either yesterday or today, I think it's today's Times, that points out that while Mondami ran this really progressive agenda that turned on a lot of these young black voters in the primary, in the general election, he's starting to move to the middle on some of these pieces. Have you read that piece yet, Michael, or saw that?
I've not read that. I think I've seen from Mamdani is that, yes, he's doing the thing that every politician does. He is sort of tamping down some of the rhetoric that he sort of ran on initially. But I don't see him, or I haven't seen thus far, him run away from the policies that he's actually setting forth. He's not backtracking on the policy front.
Yeah. When we come forward here, just watching the clock here, I want to come to this point that you, again, have raised moments ago about the fact that it was Mondami's public policy positions, talking about affordability, chief among those positions, that garnered the support of these younger African-American voters. I get that. What I don't get, when we talk about the fragmentation of the black vote, what I don't get is how it is that black voters who may be disaffected and just, over the Democratic Party, being taken for granted, et cetera, I don't get how they end up supporting someone who, to my mind at least, is pushing an agenda, a public policy agenda, that is antithetical to their best interest. That's what I don't get. And I don't want us to become so disappointed with the way the Democratic Party is or is not showing up, that we start giving our votes to people who, again, are pushing an agenda that is, completely against the best interest of African American people. So I want to probe that because I'm fascinated by, again, people throwing their votes away, as it were, behind candidates that really don't have their best interest at heart. We'll talk about that and a great deal more with Mychal Denzel Smith when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Kerr County leaders are pushing back on claims that they're hiking property taxes by 8% after devastating floods in Texas. Commissioner Don Harris says no increase is planned.
Oh my gosh, this is absurd. If it sounds too crazy to believe, call us, because it usually is.
The county's real estate losses now up to $200 million. Black Jacksonville, Florida Sheriff T.K. Waters says no charges will be filed against deputies in the viral arrest of black man William McNeil Jr. Body cam footage was released and McNeil later pleaded guilty to minor charges. A civil lawsuit is pending. And Netflix drops The Truth About Jussie Smollett on August 22nd. The documentary revisits the 2019 hate crime case with new interviews and perspectives. Smollett recently settled a civil suit with Chicago, agreeing to donate $50,000 to a local nonprofit. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Compassion sponsorship means food, healthcare, education, and more for a child in poverty. And there are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year and their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Text the word radio to 83393.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Venus Williams, at age 45, became the second oldest woman to win a tour-level singles match. The Compton native defeated Peyton Stearns in straight sets Tuesday, 6-3 and 6-4 in the first round of the D.C. Open in Washington, D.C. It was the first singles win for Venus since the Cincinnati Open in August of 2023. Tuesday's match was also the first time Venus had been on the court since the Miami Open on March 19, 2024. Martina Navratilova holds the record as the oldest woman to win a tour-level singles match. Navratilova was 47 when she won a match at Wimbledon in 2004. Venus showed she still has some game. One of her serves was clocked at 112 miles per hour. Venus, a 7-time Grand Slam champion, was given a wildcard exemption to play in the D.C. Open. She advances to the second round on Thursday against the number 5 seed in the tournament, Magdalena Frech of Poland. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Yeah.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're proud to be celebrating 4 years on the air, but we know we could not have made it this far without you. We work hard every single day to curate conversations that will enlighten, encourage, and empower you. So, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, a big thank you for your love and support.
You don't know how much you mean to me.
And by the way, if your smartphone did not update automatically, be sure to download our brand new KBLA 1580 app. We think you'll love all the new features, including new ways to send us photos and video in real time, whenever news breaks, while we're on the air. It's a new dawn, a new day for KBLA Talk 1580, and we're glad you're on this journey with us.
You never turned away, you were right there. Thank you, thank you.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Mychal Denzel Smith, author of the New York Times bestseller Invisible Man, got the whole world watching and stakes is high. We've been talking in this hour about his provocative piece for The Intercept about Zohran Mamdani, Andrew Cuomo, Eric Adams, all of them, and the black vote in this hotly contested New York mayoral race. There are three things I highlighted in your piece, Mychal, that I want to get you to sort of unpack for us right about now before I push forward. I think I want to start with this, since you raised this earlier. The latest polling in this race in New York shows Cuomo with 32% support among black voters, Eric Adams, the incumbent, trailing with 14%, and Mamdani currently leading with 35%. Those numbers fascinate me. Unpack that for me as you can.
Yeah, I think, Mamdani won the Democratic primary, and therefore he is the Democratic candidate and, likely mayor, given the demographics of New York City. And I think you see a large lining up behind just the idea of that. Like we've talked about, like Black folks are generally Democratic Party voters. They have a lock on that. But you also see that there's still some sense that like Cuomo could still be the mayor that we need or that we want or that could be likely to win. And so there's still that lining up. There's still the relationships. There's still the longstanding name recognition. There's all of that. And there's the politics of it too. I think that what we have to also recognize, and you were sort of teasing this before the break, that there's a segment of Black community, and particularly Black communities, that are a little bit more conservative, a little bit more centrist in their politics. That and that whether or not you see them as like voting against their interest, where Mamdani sets out a public policy platform that lines up perfectly with what Black interests should be, and then the Cuomo does not, and they're still lining up behind him. There's still some sense that like that's their politics, that Cuomo does represent what they want to see. And we can sort of unpack that, but that's sort of, that monolith thing continues to rear its ugly head, where it's like we want to think, yes, we line up perfectly behind what it is that is progressive, but it simply isn't the case.
Yep, there are two paragraphs in your piece that sort of jumped out at me when I read it, and I want to just read them one at a time and get your take on it. I'm quoting now from his piece in The Intercept about the black vote in this mayoral race in New York City. If young black voters can play a deciding role in a Mamdani win come November, it may be a sign that the old playbook is no longer the only game in town. Politicians may have to do something they haven't considered for decades. Treat black voters like they are people with real material interest, informed by their experience of race and racism in the U.S., but material interest nonetheless. Unpack that for me, Mychal.
Well, what I was getting at, and it's sort of in the preceding paragraphs, where there's been a way to run for the black vote that has traditionally been about making certain cultural signifiers, right? Like that you know things about Black culture, that you're hip, you're with it, right? Like to use some dated language, that you have a cultural Black card in some ways, right? That it will forever be burned into our cultural memory. Seeing Bill Clinton play the saxophone on the Arsenio Hall show, right? Like that. Oh, there's something about you that understands, that you are understanding of Black culture, and that you are someone who will be able to talk to and relate to Black people. And there's also signifying that you are outraged on behalf of Black people, that there's some sort of racial grievance that you disagree with, or some sort of public incident of racism that you can latch on to and call out as wrong, or things like that. And that will then be like your entry point into talking to Black voters and letting them know that you care, instead of dealing with the actual, like, I hear so many Democrats now saying this, the kitchen table issues, the things that have to do with whether or not you can afford a home, whether or not you are getting a quality education, whether or not there is clean air to breathe, whether or not there, all of these things that are about the lived reality of people that affect Black communities in greater proportion with respect to inaccessibility of affordable housing, of affordable groceries, of quality education, all of those things. This moment with the Mamdani campaign signals, as he has done so much better with younger Black voters, that they're tired of the old playbook, that they're tired of the transactional politics, they're tired of the cultural signifying, of the racial controversy style of campaigning. They're actually interested in, what are you going to do with the life that I am living and the trials and tribulations that I'm facing?
Speaking of our cultural signifiers, I laughed to myself, Michael, when I read your piece, particularly the paragraph that you referenced now about Clinton playing the sax on Arsenio Hall. Of course, we all remember that. But I've said on more than one occasion, I only know a few people, a few Negroes, who know every word to lift every voice and sing. But Bill Clinton surely does. I have stood next to him many times. I've stood next to him or near him over the course of many years, and he leans his head back and he knows every word, every verse, and of course the chorus, to lift every voice and sing. I don't know many Negroes who can do that, but Bill Clinton can.
Good for him, bless him.
I digress on that for now. The other paragraph that jumped out at me when I read your piece, I read now. Democratic leaders have for years, this is very important for everybody listening, pay attention to this. Democratic leaders have for years courted the Black vote, he puts the Black vote in quotes, with an old playbook. It includes a brand of retail politics where a select number of power brokers have served as intermediaries and representatives of the greater Black community. I'm pausing here. Think Jesse Jackson for Bill Clinton. Think Al Sharpton, et cetera, et cetera. And often these persons engage in a sort of transactional politics with the party. You raised that point a moment ago, but I was, again, fascinated by this paragraph because it does it puts a spotlight on whether or not the way that Democrats have courted Black voters is now outdated, and ain't nobody going for you sending somebody to talk to me to ask me for my vote because they happen to look like me.
Yeah, I think that's one of the lessons of, again, this decade and a half or so of Black political movements that centered around police violence, that rose up, the Black Lives Matter and all of that, that there was a disdain for that sort of top-down organizing that then would elevate certain voices, elevate certain figures that could then become political brokers for the Democratic Party, or just political parties more in the machinations more broadly, that, oh, if you go to this person, if you talk to this person, they then will turn out the votes for you. And what this Democratic primary in New York City sort of showed with Mamdani being able to, again, win younger Black voters and did not win older Black voters. What happened is that older Black voters are accustomed to the old playbook. And what happened is that Cuomo has the connections, has the relationships, and they turned out for him. Younger Black voters are not interested or are not even members of some of these organizations that Mamdani had to speak directly to them. And this is what his campaign did so brilliantly, is that he was always out talking to people. He was not engaged in this idea that, like, I just speak to the representative, the person that is the head of the organization. He is talking directly to the people that are going to cast the ballots. And that's appealing to younger Black voters who have been raised in an era of politics that has discarded with that top-down level system.
Mm-hmm. More of our conversation with Mychal Denzel Smith when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that for Bree's car.
Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Bree's car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah. Breathe happy for Breeze. La 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 la.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Hey, man. Hey, what's up, What's that station you listening to? Oh, man, you don't know? That's Talk Radio. KBLA, 1580 AM. Check it out. 1580 KBLA AM. Progressive.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're celebrating our 4th anniversary, and this track right here is the gift one of our devoted listeners presented to us.
Where you get some information, get a true education to know. Ooh, yeah. 1580.
How cool is that? Having a member of our KBLA delegation write us a song. Stop it! Our listeners love us and there ain't nothing we can do about it. Wouldn't want to. Thanks to Cardell and everybody else for turning on KBLA Talk 1580. We love you right black.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Mychal Denzel Smith, author of a provocative piece for The Intercept about the black vote and this mayoral race in New York City. So, Mychal, having written the piece, tell me what you're looking at, what you're going to be looking at as this race moves forward as sort of telltale signs about the black vote writ large, the fragmenting of it, et cetera, et cetera? What are you keeping your eyes on with regard to the black vote in particular in this race that might give us some takeaways about where black voters are in 2025?
I think it's going to be a story of turnout. If the Mamdani campaign does indeed continue its record-setting pace with turnout in the general election, and you see an increase in young black voters, I think that that's going to be a greater signal to the Democratic Party that they simply have been failing, right? I think that, and not just failing in the ways that they think they've been failing in the ways of not speaking directly to the issues that concern people, not been doing the things that they need to do with black voters in terms of actually like going and talking to the actual black voters versus the idea of their representatives. I think that it's going to shift a lot of things for the understanding of the way that the Democratic Party has been doing things and the way that they need to go forward. Now, will they heed the lessons is a whole other story, right? Like, and I think that that's coming out now as, you know, Mamdani is meeting with Hakeem Jeffries, and Jeffries is still not willing to endorse him. All of these things, like, I think that it is going to be telling, one, if Mamdani is able to turn out young black voters in record numbers. Two, whether or not the Democratic Party actually sees that as a sign of progress and sees that as a path forward for them. And then that will tell us how they're going to proceed in the midterm elections, how they're going to proceed in the next presidential election, whether or not they're going to actually see a shift within their party away from their stalwart centrist candidates, even those who are maybe slightly to the left of those centrists, but are going to be defeated by the growing progressive wing, or at least the dissatisfaction with those center-left candidates and policies, or whether or not they're going to repeat the playbook again because they simply are ideologically opposed to the progressive wing, or because they think that it is good politics.
I never, ever ask a guest a yes or no question, but I'm about to ask you right now a yes or no question, and I'll tell you why when we come forward. Here's the question, yes or no. Is Eric Adams toast?
Yes. Okay. I do not see a path forward for Eric Adams.
Okay.
I think, yeah.
Hold that thought. So I got your answer. I expected that. So I'll tell you why I asked that question when we come forward. Stick around. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley, Mychal Denzel Smith. Lunell is in the building. As a matter of fact, she's in the studio. She's sitting and waiting for this next hour. She's already on fire. So I am looking forward to the next hour. We get our laugh on. As I said earlier, it's been a rough week for black folk. That death of Malcolm Jamal Warner is still resonating in ways that anyway, we'll talk to Lunell and get our laugh on in our last hour today. Mychal Denzel Smith, before I go forward here, that name Denzel, where'd that come from?
You know, my mother passed a couple years ago, and I had asked her about this before, and she just couldn't remember.
Okay. I did not expect that answer, that your mama couldn't remember where she got the name from.
She could not remember why she picked Denzel.
Okay, that was that. Yeah, I didn't got to the third hour yet, and I'm laughing already because I did not again predict that answer. Two things I want to cover in these last 2 minutes. I asked you moments ago whether or not Eric Adams is toast in New York City. You said yes. You're not the only one that feels that way. He's been on this program a couple times, but I raised that because one, I've said before, there was just months ago, literally, the top 4 largest cities in this country had black mayors. You had Eric Adams in New York, Karen Bass, of course, here in L.A., where I sit. Sylvester Turner, God rest his soul, was in Houston. Brandon Johnson in Chicago. Sylvester's gone. They no longer have a black mayor in Houston. Eric's in trouble in New York. Brandon's in trouble in Chicago. Karen Bass is in trouble here. It could be in the next year that none of these cities, next year or so, that none of these 4 big cities any longer have African-American mayors. That's the first reason why I raised that question. Number 2, I have rarely seen in my career, and I've been at this for a while now, rarely seen in my career a race where there is somebody black on the ballot, the incumbent no less, and the black vote is so split between Cuomo, Mondami, and Eric Adams. I've rarely seen that. What make you of that in the 90 seconds I have left?
That's just how bad Eric Adams has been, man. That's just how bad he's been. And I'm not trying to be in the business of doing the tear down of black men, but he's been bad. Yeah. And the corruption of the Eric Adams administration and the campaign, and then kowtowing to the Trump administration and everything that's coming forward with the ICE agents and eliminating this as a sanctuary city and refusing to close Rikers and re-implementing stop and frisk. Eric Adams has been terrible. Yeah. And that's just what it is.
Yeah. I got 30 seconds left. I'm going to give you an opportunity, Mychal, just to say hello to a comedy icon. Just say hello to Lunell.
Hey, Lunell, how are you?
Hi, hello. How are you this morning?
I'm doing good.
Tavis got you riled up?
Tavis got me riled up. I don't want to make you feel as old as I made Tavis feel, but I also was raised on you.
I don't know what you mean by that.
We're going to leave that alone.
It must be a rerun you're watching.
You'll appreciate this, Mike. I've known Lunell for years because we've been friends for a long time. And the last time she's on this program, she told me that I had aged out for her. I was too old for her.
Of my mentorship program.
I have aged out of her mentorship program.
Yes.
But she told me that Miles, my board out, was still in the running.
He's right in the entry level position.
He's turned 30 since you were here last, Lunell, though.
He's still in the running.
He's still in the running?
He's still in the running.
All right. Mychal Denzel Smith, I appreciate you. Good to have you on, man. All the best to you.
You same to you.
So Lunell is here. More with her for the hour when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Kerr County leaders are pushing back on claims that they're hiking property taxes by 8% after devastating floods in Texas. Commissioner Don Harris says no increase is planned.
Oh my gosh, this is absurd. If it sounds too crazy to believe, call us, because it usually is.
The county's real estate losses now up to $200 million. Black Jacksonville, Florida Sheriff TK Waters says no charges will be filed against deputies in the viral arrest of black man William McNeil Jr. Body cam footage was released and McNeil later pleaded guilty to minor charges. A civil lawsuit is pending. And Netflix drops The Truth About Jussie Smollett on August 22nd. The documentary revisits the 2019 hate crime case with new interviews and perspectives. Smollett recently settled a civil suit with Chicago, agreeing to donate $50,000 to a local nonprofit. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Compassion sponsorship means food,